At noon, the Browns have a new head coach. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Versansky. In a shocking move, the team is hiring former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Ashley Holder here now to break it all down. Ashley.
Yeah, the Browns have finally found their guy. Cleveland knew they needed a head coach with an offensive mindset, someone who could turn this franchise around and most importantly, fix the quarterback position. They believe they found that solution in Todd Monken. Monken is known to develop dual threat quarterbacks, most notably Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Last season, the Ravens averaged 25 points per game and ranked second in the NFL in rushing, and that success wasn't a one-year fluke. Over Monken's 3 seasons in Baltimore as the offensive coordinator, the Ravens ranked 4th, 3rd, and 11th in points scored. Consistent production and one of the league's most dynamic offenses. Monken is also no stranger to Cleveland. He served as the Browns offensive coordinator back in 2019 under Freddie Kitchens and brings decades of experience at both the collegiate and NFL level. Monken was one of the 5 candidates the Browns interviewed, but clearly he stood out. Now the next big questions: who will Monken bring in as offensive coordinator? Reports indicate Nate Shieldhouse will remain with the Rams. And what about the defense? Will Monken retain defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz? Both Andrew Berry and owner Jimmy Haslam have been upfront about wanting Schwartz to stay, a sign of stability on that side of the ball as Cleveland enters a new era. In the studio, Ashley Holder, 19 News.